Show, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. Got Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber and read his latest piece at ALLCITY.com. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader, and Vinny's latest piece is about the bullpen, which we'll talk about later after this 4-3 loss to the Washington Nationals. As Kavan says in the chat, the road to 100 creeps closer, and he says afternoon, fellas, which I'm actually taking a little bit of an umbrance against.
Well, you don't need to take umbrage. I was just going to say, it was a quick game. I don't know if it was so quick that it's still the afternoon, though.
I mean, he might be where would he be?
He's
In
got a
Japan
time zone.
or
maybe he's in Hawaii.
Or maybe Australia?
Aloha.
Could be. Well,
I
don't know
that's
if it
the
would
next
be
day.
afternoon. It would be morning there, I think, probably.
Yeah.
Although, who
Hawaii,
knows?
is Hawaii the latest?
In the United States?
Yes.
Is Hawaii the last person to experience September 19th?
In the world or in the United States?
World.
I don't know. I think there's probably some
Marshall
other islands out
Islands
there.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Galapagos? I don't know. Turtles.
I don't think you know where the Galapagos.
No, those are off the coast of Chile.
Yeah,
that's
south.
way. That's no, but
South
that's
and
way,
west.
Yeah, but not west or more
they're
west
close
than
to the. They're
Hawaii.
close to the continent. Hawaii is not.
No.
We're gonna go in geography after. Don't do it now.
No, Steven.
Don't do it now.
After you no,
Steven's
take your
busy
time. Take your time.
doing
Plug in your
things.
laptop. Also, Steven was probably the MVP. We have king of the game later. And Kavan saying ni hao. So that'd be Japan?
Somewhere in Asia. Okay. China, maybe?
All right, ni hao. Steven, can you go to can you screen share? Can you
can.
Can you go to Google and specifically Google Maps, and then can you see, maybe driving wouldn't be the right way, or walking, but just see what it would be like to travel from Hawaii to the Galapagos Islands and see who's more west, either Hawaii or.
Why don't you just Google Map where the Galapagos Islands are?
Okay, so Steven, and we're gonna do a little play-by-play here. Galapagos Islands are.
And then zoom out.
You zoom out. They're in the ocean. Shocker. They're an
There's
island.
that tortoises right there.
Is that where they're from?
See, look at that.
What do you want to jump in with, Herb?
Oh my God! Basically under us.
What? It's as west as Iowa.
Herb.
Okay.
It is.
Poor job.
Kirimati Islands is the last thing.
Oh, there you go. The last thing before the international dateline.
What are they teaching you at Wheaton?
Nothing.
Not where the Galapagos Islands are.
Whatever.
Oh, you don't like being wrong.
No, that's fine.
They're also
I'm fine.
not off the coast of Chile. We were wrong. They're off the coast of Ecuador.
That's true.
They're right on the equator there.
Don't ask us anything about South America. You can ask us about Brian Shaw. Where's Brian Shaw been recently?
California.
Well, he was in the District of Columbia tonight.
He pitches for the White Sox every damn day. We're going to talk a little bit about the White Sox, how they scored those 3 runs. We'll talk a little bit how the Nationals scored those 4 runs. That's a baseball postgame show for you. And then we got some news from the front office. Chuck Garfien, Scott Merkin, and even Bob Nightingale getting in the action. 3 new hires for the White Sox front office.
Reportedly.
Yeah. Confirmed by some.
Well, confirmed by people who don't work here is my point.
Oh,
yeah.
Got you. So when does a
Gets official when the White Sox say it.
Correct.
Okay. All right, got you. So reportedly, the White Sox are making 3 hires for their front office. We'll talk about those a little bit later as my mind processes the word reportedly. The big news for the White Sox, especially in this game, in this part of the season where, they're just battling to finish the season now at 58-94. The main story, though, is Luis Robert hits his 37th home run of the year. Adds a double as well that Stephen Nicholas, who thinks he can throw 80 miles per hour, thought it should have been a triple. Robert hits his 37th homer. That's probably the big story of the night. Moncada homers as well, but let's start with Robert. We saw the flick of the wrist home run last night and another just powerful shot from Robert in the 4th inning. Are there any other adjectives you've thought of to describe Luis Roberts 2023?
We're running out of them, that's for sure. But the quest for 40 home runs is very much alive. I think we saw him really slow down here in the month of September, and now all of a sudden the last few nights it's picked up again for him. And listen, Credit to Pedro Grifol, who, when I asked him about Luis's slow September before they left town, said any day can turn around here with just one swing. And, boy, it looks like it has, because he goes to Nationals Park, and all of a sudden it's the same Luis Robert Jr. that we've gotten used to seeing all this year. They got 10 games left. He needs 3 home runs. Very possible for him to hit that magical number that ends in a 0 of 40.
And I hope he takes away from this year what Eloy should have taken away from the years that he was hitting home runs with easy power. Doesn't take a huge swing. And I know that he's been trying to hit that mark of 40 home runs and pressing to do it. And that's why the September numbers haven't been of Luis's status for this year. But yesterday's swing, easy. And just the ball traveled. That's why I was like, it's a single. Remember yesterday when I was like, oh, it's a single. And that ball just went out because he has monster power. And today, even the double looked like he got all of it, but it hit the wall at 113 miles per hour with easy power. Let the pitcher provide the velocity if need be, but mostly he's been hitting off-speed pitches. I think the first pitch was a changeup, and then the second pitch he hit for the double, I don't recall what it was, but he hit that with real easy power. So take away from this year for all White Sox hitters, the bat can do most of the work because you've already been to the major leagues. You have the power to hit the ball out. Easy swings can do it, and that's what he has.
And to be fair to you, on that easy swing yesterday that you thought was a single, I just feel like watching baseball at Nats Park is ugly. It just feels like everything is either feels like a home run off the bat or is just a weak fly ball.
Optical illusions of Nationals Park.
I don't like it. It just doesn't feel right. I mean, that homer yesterday from Robert didn't seem like it would get out at any park ever. Felt like it was a pop fly that would probably just be a little bit behind the shortstop. No, of course, it's like a 390-foot home run. And this is not me bringing up Andrew Benintendi. I got a text. Someone else, yes, we are not the only 3 people along with Chuck and Ozzy watching the White Sox postgame show or watching the White Sox game. Someone else is watching the White Sox game. And they texted me, how is this ball from Benintendi, the first swing he takes at, center cut, squares up this ball, only a fly out to center field. And he does it the next at bat as well. And I think most of it is just because of Nationals Park. Like, a lot of these balls, it seemed like they were getting squared up, and they just either barely left the infield or were going like where Dom Smith hit it yesterday into the second deck. There was no in between yet.
And I had a guy who said, well, Dom Smith barely hit that home run out of the ballpark. I was like, he hit the second deck. It's like, what do you mean barely? It was 419.
You go hit
to
a ball
right center. It's like
feet.
He's like, he should have been running. It was barely went out. I was like, it was crushed. It's like, come on, dude. Yeah, that ballpark does play tricks in your mind, but Luis Robert is a champion, and I hope he does get to the 40 home run mark because very few White Sox have. It's not been a big-time thing that we've what's the record, 49 by Albert Bell? So
I think the record's 48. I've looked this up now as many because we're just following this Robert home run thing. But I think it's 48 from Albert Bell. But it's, I mean, you mentioned it, Vinny. I mean, 10 more games left. He needs 3 more homers. I think that's the stat he's going after. Probably not 40 doubles. Because, well, I mean, I was watching the broadcast as I was going to get dinner, and they flashed the live odds screen, and Jason's just like Steve Stone, who's a degenerate gambler, I'm sure. He's like, well, what prop do you like tonight? And he's like, oh, I like stolen base at plus 340 because you're sure with him being 18, probably wants to get to that number 20. He hasn't gotten on first base to even try to steal a bag yet because he's just hit doubles and homers. So I think he's probably going for the homer thing. Just by the way he's swinging the bat.
From talking to him, he's saying he doesn't really care about the stats. Classic Jose Abreu school of thought right there. But the one that he said he was going for was the games played. And that's 150, and I believe he is very close to that. I believe he has to play all but one the rest of the way in order to hit that number. So I think that's what he's focused on doing right now is finishing out the season, just literally being present in those games. That's the one number that he said, I guess it would have been back last month, that he's focused on, and I would imagine that's the one that he cares about right now, though certainly, to get 40 home runs, I'm sure in his mind would be good.
Mm-hmm. And think about this, Sean. I know you're going to be scared. This weekend, Boston, short left field porch. My guy Andrew Benintendi, only 5 home runs away. And his left-handed swing can do the job. Are you scared?
You think Andrew Benintendi's going to hit 5 home runs in Boston this weekend?
In 3 games?
A couple.
How much?
And the pesky pole too. Remember that?
Double or nothing?
No, I'm good. But also for Robert, like with doubles and home runs, that's a perfect place for him to go this weekend to maybe finish the 40 home run thing and maybe add some of those doubles too, depending on who he faces and who and how high he hits that ball off the monster.
I know we don't want to be too bold ever. We
don't want to be bold.
Yeah, it's always tough to rock the boat here. But Luis Robert Jr. is good enough to hit 3 homers in a game.
He is.
He could just do that in one night and just be like, all right, I'm done. He can't reach.
But then he can't get to 150 games. That's the one he wants to do.
He had 40 homers. It's cool. I don't know. He's got Chris Sale, I think, on Saturday, right? Or Saturday or Sunday. Chris Sale starting one of those games. So, we should see Chris Sale versus Yoan Moncada, Luis Robert Jr. Luis Robert Jr. wasn't a part of the trade, but
and maybe Michael Kopech coming in relief.
Great.
Would he bat?
Might as well.
It's not going to start. I think. Did you say 49 for Bell?
Yeah.
I think I tried to correct you to 48. 49 was the right number in 1998.
Also Chris Sale.
Also Chris Sale.
Circle.
49 homers for Albert Bell, 44 for Jermaine Dye in 2006, 43 for Frank Thomas in 2000, 42 for Frank Thomas in 2003, Tomey at 42 with 2006. In 2006, Adam Dunn with 41 in 2012, Paul Konerko with 41 in 2004, Frank Thomas with 41 in 1993, Todd Frazier with 40 in 2016, Paul Konerko with 40 in 2005, Frank Thomas with 40 in 1996, and Frank Thomas with 40 in 1995. Frank Thomas.
He's decent.
Pretty good.
He's all right.
So 12 players have hit, or 12 seasons of 40 homers or more. Luis Robert trying to be the 13th. Let's go to Yoan Moncada, though. Another one of these players from the core that we talked about yesterday. He's not going anywhere, folks, in 2024 with this $24 million that he'll be making. And look at that perfect photo that Steven pulled. I mean, that's the next album cover, no?
I think that he's got to wear that in the next music video, right?
I mean, I don't know what music gangsters in the 20s were listening to, but
Jazz.
Jazz?
Yeah.
All right, well, here, coming to you soon, a Cuban jazz stylings of Yoan Moncada.
That could be interesting.
It could be.
Would he play an instrument?
I don't know. You know him better than I do. Does he have an acoustic guitar hanging out in his locker?
I don't see him. I have no evidence of him being an instrumentalist of any kind.
Do you have what's it called? What's the company that begins with the Y?
Yamaha?
Yeah. Does he have like a Yamaha
keyboard? Electric keyboard?
Yeah, maybe.
Not that I've seen.
But Yoan Moncada's stats since July 25th. He's had the back. Was it disc issue?
Yeah, there was a lot of things. It was kind of, let's put it this way, it was something that affected a large swath of his back and
buttocks.
Back body, but interior body. That's a fun way to put it, right? But yeah, I think it was a disc issue. Yeah.
So since that return on July 25th, I don't think I remember being concerned because I think his wording was like, "Oh, I'm at 100%." Or something along the lines.
Yeah, and I think both he and Pedro were saying like, yeah, this is just going to have to deal with this the rest of the way. But
he's
been
dealing
good
with it fine.
He's been good.
47 games since July 25th, 182 plate appearances, 49 hits, 11 doubles, 6 home runs, 1 tonight, 10 walks, 59 strikeouts, 286 average, 324 on base percentage, 456 slugging percentage, and added an RBI single in the 9th inning today. What have you made of Moncada since July 25th? Are you buying back in? I know you've been the Moncada lover for our podcast for the past 2 years.
Yeah, he's my man, 100 grand, but I can't buy into this being a precursor to what he's going to do next year because we know his injury issues and with a back problem, that's never going to really go away. But I hope he has a good offseason where he takes care of his body and would do whatever he needs to do to get his back in the correct frame. Like right now, whatever he's doing, keep on doing it because the hittings look going well. The glove has always been solid. So, yeah, I'm a big-time fan of what he's doing, but I don't think that this will carry over necessarily till next year, Vinny. So I'm kind of like wait and see on him, especially with everybody else who's kind of hurt every year. So I'm rooting for him because he's going to be on the team. He's making $24 million. I hope he's an underpaid player next year, which will have to be the 40 home runs and 100 RBIs that Eduardo's saying that he might hit. Wow, Sean almost died there. But yeah, that would be definitely the underpayment. But if he's anywhere near these numbers for 150 games next year, I think everybody will take that.
I don't know about 40 homers.
Baby steps.
Yeah, he's hit like, 8 now this year?
Yeah, we said we don't want to be too bold on this podcast.
God,
I guess
you almost died there.
Herb, I think you made the good point, and really, it's almost gotten to a point where it's not against any one of these players' ability.
Yeah.
It's just the injuries have been so consistent that we've been trained to expect them to be dealing with something next year. And certainly there's an element of everybody gets banged up in baseball, and I think we've seen from Moncada years when he's played through things that have affected him. This year counts as one of those, even though he has spent time on the injured list. You can't really project what any of these guys are going to do because we don't have enough of a base to know what they do when they are healthy.
Yeah.
Tim Anderson is an exception because he has achieved some great things, but Yoan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, what should we expect from them? If you were to tell us right now they're going to be healthy all next year, do we even know what to think that they're going to do? We've seen flashes of it, but we haven't seen it with any sort of consistency. Luis Robert Jr. just this year is breaking away from that group or that category of players. So, I mean, I don't know if you could really say you'd be surprised by anything you'd see from Moncada next year because, yeah, the ability is there. We know it's there. We know he can do things that we've seen him do the last couple nights. The things that Edgardo is very excited about seeing from Moncada next year under healthy circumstances. But we also know that he has routinely throughout the last 5 years of his career been bothered by injuries and maladies, both big and small, that have turned him into a shell of the player I think that everybody thinks he can be.
Yeah, the only thing that I would like to see a little bit more is walks, but you even look at, it is walks because you look at 2021, and that's really the only place that he kind of excelled a little bit more than where he is right now because we see 10 walks in those 40 games. The other 40 games, he had around 7. He's got 17 walks this year. He's not walking a ton this year. Really no one on the White Sox is, which is a bigger, larger issue. But I do think, again, like if he plays, he's only played 85 games now. If he plays 140 games, he shouldn't be a problem because, I mean, we see the defense is always fine. If he is truly healthy, knock on wood, that'd be great for this team. And I really don't know if the injury thing is that big of an issue for the White Sox in 2023 because you look at Moncada, and he's obviously at 85 games, which is below his normal benchmark. Vaughn's played a career high. Roberts played a career high. Jimenez is about to be close to right. He passed his career.
He'll be about 10 games off of what he played in his rookie year, I think.
He's at 111. His career high is 122.
Right.
But this is the second time he's been over 100 games.
Or so he'll be right around it. Yeah. If he plays the rest of the games. Yeah.
And then Tim has played in 116 games, which is not a ton. But in 2019 and 2021, he played in 123 games. So he's going to be close to that 123 mark again. You'd like to see more, but like...
Yeah. This is a low bar you're setting here. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying all of these guys need to play 162. That's very unrealistic to expect that. Guys are going to go on the injured list, right? That happens throughout the course of a season. But
Benny,
I don't think
Vaughn, and Robert are all playing over 140.
Sure, but I don't.
Only one's good.
I guess my point being is that you cannot say that this year was not dramatically affected by injuries the same way that each of the last two were. I think it very much was. Tim Anderson's a perfect example. Yeah, okay, Tim Anderson played in those games after he had that knee injury in the first week of the season, but he couldn't hit. He wasn't himself. You know what I mean? Eloy Jimenez, again, yeah, congratulations, you're going to play 120 games this year. You also were on the IL for an extended period of time and had the sore legs throughout the season that were preventing you from running. I mean, Moncada's going to play these games, but in how many of those games that he did play was he free and clear of the back situation that he had bothering him since spring training? I mean, I think injuries were once again a headline story for this team. I mean, if they weren't, their record would not be as ghastly as it is.
I mean, you could see in the numbers with Eloy Jimenez, it's almost 1-to-1, where he's played 122 games in his rookie year, hit 31 home runs that year. He's going to play around the same. He's going to hit, 17 right now, 18 home runs. Power's zapped out, and he's hitting a bunch of ground balls. So there's injuries to him, and we already know Moncada's got them, and Tim's got 1 home run this year. That's not unusual. And so, yeah, it's a injury-plagued season again for the White Sox. I don't think much changes next year unless some stroke of luck comes to these guys, which happens from time to time. You could just have everybody being healthy throughout the season. I think that's the 2005 White Sox saying Frank Thomas and like Dustin Hermanson. pretty much everybody else stayed healthy and performed at a high level. And that's not necessarily a good way to go about winning a division, but, that's what they have to do. Hope and pray that these guys stay healthy and stay at the same levels that their career numbers indicate that they would do.
We'll talk a little bit about Jose Ureña in a second. We're going to take a quick break.
That's a tease.
That's a tease right there.
Oh, boy. Don't touch that dial.
We'll let you know about our friends, though, over at Ray CDJR. That's Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, then we have some great news for you. Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fox Lake have just joined the CHGO team. At Ray CDJR, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and find unforgettable savings. And right now, during Jeep Adventure Days at Ray CDJR in Fox Lake, you'll be able to take up to 15% off MSRP on all new 2023 Jeep Gladiator models. We have recently learned that MSRP is, and I totally remember.
Herb knows it.
Manufacturer suggested retail price.
There you go. And that's not all. Now through September 30th, explore their newly renovated showroom and take advantage of breathtaking deals as they celebrate their grand reopening. So if you are in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com today. Serving the community since 1963. Next up, we want to let you know about our friends over at Fubo. They have 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news for you to consume right now. You can stream live TV from any device. I guess not right now because you're watching us.
I mean, you could watch this on your phone. You could watch TV on your Fubo.
That sounds very ADHD of you, Vinnie.
I'm just saying, it is possible.
It is possible.
Or opposite, too.
'Cause you could stream live TV from any device.
Yeah.
You could have a phone laptop situation.
Just two phones.
Two phones.
Johnny, two phones.
I love him. Great comedian. You can watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price, and you can start watching immediately with a free trial at FuboTV.com/CHGO. There's no contract, no cable, no hassle. Just sign up and start watching. And our favorite feature is the 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge. You can watch local teams while traveling, and especially with college football. Week 4 coming up. You got Alabama and Ole Miss playing. You got Ohio State and Notre Dame playing.
Colorado, Oregon.
Colorado, Oregon. Took the words right out of my mouth, Herb.
Florida, Atlantic, Illinois.
FAU and Illinois.
None of these are my favorite. None of these are the great trophy games that I love so much, though. So that's why I'm not interjecting with a hilarious trophy name.
But what's the one with you named the Golden Boot?
The Battle for the Golden Boot.
For the Golden
That's
Boot's
Arkansas
happening.
LSU.
Yeah,
That's this weekend,
Right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
so.
because
Yeah.
the next
So, yeah.
I think, or did they play this last week?
No, they played versus. No, they didn't. LSU played somebody else.
It's Saturday.
This Saturday, Battle for the Golden Boot.
Is it really a golden boot?
No, it's shaped like a boot.
It is gold.
The trophy they give away.
But it's not like a boot. It's the two.
It's the
states.
shape of
Yeah.
Arkansas and Louisiana, and it
And
looks
it's
like a boot.
Gold.
Ugh.
What do you mean?
Just give me a golden boot. I get it. I get the states look like a boot, but give me a golden boot.
I'm with Herb. I would rather have a golden boot.
It'd be funnier. That is true.
Yeah.
Watch your favorite college football trophies and rivalry games and college football games and NFL with Fubo. Go to www.FuboTV.com/CHGO. That's FuboTV.com/CHGO to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. We got a king of the game here, and of course, it's Luis Robert, as we mentioned, hitting his 37th home run.
Lord Goosington has joined us.
Hello, Lord Goosington. Wait, does Lord Goosington have a voice? That's putting you out real on the spot. 3 for 4, Robert.
It's a goose. He honks.
That's his voice.
Yeah, you just heard it. There it is. That's his voice.
I guess I was having more of a mythical,
Like they
a
speak
goose who speaks
I'm
English.
sorry. You
English?
think Lord Goosington can speak English?
He's a lord.
Sean.
Should be able to reign his sovereignty.
What are you
Whatever.
talking about? Just
I don't
because
know.
he's a wealthy British landowning goose doesn't mean that he can speak the Queen's
This is why your dad wanted you to write baseball.
or the Kings. The Kings, I guess it would be.
Yeah, we're back.
There's a king now. Yeah.
3 for 4, Robert was today. It is 37th homer. Drove in 1 run.
That's all he is.
And then he
home
scored
run.
Solo shot.
Okay, all right. Yeah. He scored on the solo
They
homer.
didn't have that many runs, Sean.
He had a lot. I saw someone complaining that Luis Robert hits too many solo home runs.
That's not his fault.
Yeah, was he not supposed to hit home runs? Like, I'm waiting until people get on base, though.
Saving him up. Just like Andrew Benintendi. He's been saving him up for 5 years. Sorry. I'll shut up.
I'm prompted.
Yeah, I'll take a 5-minute timeout. Let's talk about Jose Ureña.
Herb, you know how we always say that the people at home should take a drink whenever Sean brings up Andrew Benintendi without. I think Sean should have to take a drink as punishment for doing it.
I'm not.
I don't want to drive.
And you'll just be trashed every day.
Exactly.
It'd be fun.
You said there's Malort on site.
There is Malort on site. Jake, I think I'm going to need to sign a waiver soon. Let's go to Jose Ureña. What's that? Coming right up. 6 innings for Ureña tonight. 1 earned run, 4 hits allowed, 4 Ks, no walks.
He was very good.
He was very good. And Blake Rutledge?
Jackson.
I can't be right.
Jackson.
Jackson?
It's Jackson.
Like Jackson Rutledge?
He's got 2 last names.
Yeah.
All right. Something named Jackson Rutledge pitched. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 6 hits, 2 Ks, and 1 walk for Jackson Rutledge. Thoughts on Jose Ureña? I loved Cody's comment over there from the Cubs. They're in a rain delay, and he walked over, and he's like, Jose Ureña pitches for the White Sox? And he does. And pretty well.
We said the same thing like a couple weeks ago when he started pitching for the White Sox. But indeed, he has been just fine. Particularly today. He looked great. That's 2 really good starting pitching performances in a row for the White Sox. Listen, he's just filling in right now. He's trying to get himself a job for next year. So more power to you, Jose Ureña. Keep jacking up the number of dollars that you might receive from a team next season. But I don't think he's in the White Sox future. I think he's here to log some innings at the moment.
Yeah, as Vinnie said, 2 in a row starts by the White Sox starters. No walks either. Him and Clevenger both limited their walks. And Ureña, I think the last start versus the Twins, he had an initial good start. And he was striking like 8, 9 people out. And then his last inning, he was just gassed and gave up 6 runs. And so, without that, blow up at the end of that, he would have 2 good starts. Now, do I want him as a candidate for the White Sox next year? No, but he's pitching, as Vinny says, for his MLB life, and he's probably happy to be back in the major leagues and playing well. If even versus the Nationals, it's still a major league team that puts their uniform on every day and won this game. So Ureña, I would see him on some other team next year. Hopefully he's on some other team because I don't think he's long for the White Sox. I don't think he's what the White Sox want as a starter for next year.
Well, here, the reason Jose Ureña has a job right now or got a job with the White Sox in the first place, a minor league deal, one of those things that we've talked about the last couple off seasons, right? Throw something at the wall and see what sticks. And he has taken advantage of the opportunity that has presented himself by the White Sox having no other starting pitchers coming up here and pitching and just fine. And some team's going to look at that and go, we'll throw him at the wall and see if he sticks next year too.
Yeah.
What I was saying to Sean beforehand, and we'll give you a peek at what we were talking about during the game. Sean did the exact same thing you just did, Herb, and said, boy, I hope he's, in so many words, boy, I hope he's not on the White Sox next year. And I said, isn't someone exactly like him going to be on the White Sox next year? I mean, we've talked so much about the likelihood, or the challenge, I should say, about them going out and signing 3-4 starting pitchers that would make everybody really excited, right? I mean, think of how tall of a task it is for Chris Getz to go out and not just get 3 people to fill the rotation, but 3 people that would make you guys go, yeah, let's go. I'm very excited to watch all 3 of these guys pitch. Mm-hmm. There is going to be gambles. There are going to be gambles and risks being taken. We've seen it in years past, and we're probably going to see it again. You should see it every offseason because you never know what's going to happen when somebody shows up to spring training. You want as much depth as you can, people to choose from as you can as you're building a roster, and particularly building an organizational roster, right? A guy like Jose Ureña, who has the exact same blind resume as Jose Ureña, is probably going to be part of things next year come the spring, if not for the last spot in the rotation, at least in that group of guys who could provide some depth. You're going to see that guy, or that guy, someone exactly like that guy, pitch for the White Sox at some point next year. I don't think, I don't know if you can necessarily confidently say, boy, I hope there's no one like Jose Ureña pitching on this team next year, because that's probably going to be part of the solution, if not the exact solution.
Yes. And
That is competing
But
for
why?
that division.
But why?
Competing for that division is going to be tough.
Because here's
That's the part.
Well, of course it is, but we've talked about how tough it's going to be anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they go out and get a second baseman and get a right fielder, and they get another starting pitcher or two other starting pitchers, is the Jose Ureña model the worst thing that they could possibly do with all that other stuff?
Not the worst, but it's not inspiring to anything. Like, it's just a retread, hoping and wishing and hoping you're rolling sevens instead of snake eyes.
But you have to do that when you've got spending limitations and so many other things that you have to get done on the to-do list. I'm not arguing for it. I'm just saying I don't think everybody who's a White Sox fan should go into the offseason and be like, I better be happy with every single move that gets made or I'm going to be unhappy come opening day. I think you're probably looking at a very good chance of this falling somewhere in the middle of, boy, they really screwed everything up, and boy, they went and spent $200 million more.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's foolhardy for Jerry to say, I don't want to rebuild, but also I'm going to be, giving out the money, and I'm not going to be signing X, Y, and Z. So, and we know his history. So, yeah, Ureña's fine, but for some other team. And if we're going to be, like, the words that I think you said it, like the words that Jerry is saying and the actions that he might be doing in the offseason don't match up. If you want to be winning and competing in the AL Central next year, then you got to be spending because you don't have enough prospects to trade to acquire talent. And so the only way of acquiring talent is the worst way is through free agency.
I don't think, and you have to have someone who fills in that fifth spot. Absolutely. And I brought up the point that if you have, and this is, just so people can picture this, if you have 4 Jose Ureñas fighting in a steel cage match and the strongest survives.
Clones?
And he clones.
Sean, are you talking about clones?
Yes. Or, if it's instead of maybe clones of Jose Ureña, it's, Jose Ureña, Herman Marquez, Tyler Chatwood, and Martin Perez, in a steel cage, then sure.
Can we, we're cloning people. Why don't we clone better people?
Right. Well,
these are the clones that will be available by spring training, Herb.
This is what I was trying to get to.
Okay.
You asked, is it the worst route that they could go to?
No, I know. No, it's not a good route. I'm not trying to say that it would be good. I'm trying to say that there is a likelihood that even if they accomplish some exciting things, there are going to be other parts of the roster because of the vast amount of work that Chris Getz has to do that are going to be in of themselves underwhelming, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think there are worse things than, hey, look at the holes that he did fill, and then also he got Jose Ureña.
What you're trying to say is that if Jerry Reinsdorf goes out and spends $300 to $400 million, that White Sox fans still won't be happy, and you're correct.
Oh, well, that, of course, is true. Yeah.
I mean, they could have the best offseason ever, and I'm still going to be upset. I mean, I'll be 100% with it.
I know we're going to talk later on about the front office moves. I wasn't upset about those at all.
Yeah, we'll get to those, but
you don't have much to go on.
No,
just to play on the, and that's how we get to liking Pedro Grifol and giving Pedro Grifol compliments the first time we meet him. Let's wait a second.
It's just called being nice.
Yeah,
right. I don't want any of these people to fail. But to go to this, looking up blind resumes, is it the worst option they can go with? Maybe not. Maybe it's not even the option they go with. But for active starters who have pitched at least 800 innings, Jose Ureña's ERA ranks what out of 77 qualified starters?
I mean, since you're asking, probably 10th.
I'd say it's very low.
You think that Jose Ureña for active starters is the 10th best ERA with at least 800 innings pitched?
No,
I mean, you brought
I think it would probably be in the 70s.
It is in the 70s.
Via the context clues of this question.
So out of 77, there's he's 74th.
So who are the 3 that are worse?
So, but here's the thing: is there is clearly levels to this. So there is either the king of innings eaters, who is
Jordan Lyles,
5.25 ERA.
He's the worst.
Yes. So he's thrown over 1,000 innings.
Future White Sox.
What has he thrown? Yeah, he's thrown nearly 1,500 innings and has a 5.25 ERA. He is the only active starter with at least 800 innings with an ERA over 5. And it's nearly 5.3. So
it's not good.
No. And then there's these 3 guys who are around 800 innings: Jose Ureña, Nick Pivetta, and Matthew Boyd, all in that 800 inning mark that are all 4.9.
Okay.
And then there's another drop off to Dylan Bundy, who's at 4.7. And then there's a 4.5 guys who are Andrew Heaney, Kyle Gibson, Tommy Malone.
Kyle Gibson, MIZ.
None of them are good.
Supposed to finish it off, Sean.
I am?
Yeah.
How?
ZOU.
Oh, I don't know that. I didn't go there.
Neither.
Here, you want to finish this off?
Yeah.
SXU.
GDF. I don't know. What is that? St. Xavier?
Yeah, there is no way to finish it because we don't have school pride. We don't have a little song. Wow. We probably do have a song. But
you have Clayton Fedulum.
You've got Colleen.
You got Clayton Fedulum.
We do have Colleen.
Yeah.
Hey.
And Craig Robinson.
And Craig Robinson. You tried to claim him, though.
He's mine, yeah.
He tried to claim him.
Mr. Baseball tried to claim him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Steven, real quick, before we take this ad break, are you going to be the fifth starter? Because apparently you can throw 80.
I'm going to bring my 80-mile-per-hour heat to the back end of the White Sox rotation. It's going to be just as good as Jose Ureña, too.
You should do that. You should do the can Steven throw 80 miles per hour poll.
We're going to go out in the alley. You're going to get the radar gun, Herb.
We're going to go to Guaranteed Rate Field.
Do they have
Vinnie
open
will.
tryouts,
Yes.
Vinnie? Do they have open tryouts?
They have open tryouts, but they have
No,
They have
but
a
they've got a
speed
speed pitch on the concourse.
I saw this movie, The Rookie, once, and Mel Gibson could do it. So
Is that Mel
Dennis
Gibson?
No,
Quaid.
that's Dennis
Not
Quaid.
Dennis
Oh, Dennis Quaid. Yeah, you're right.
Look,
And you're not a teacher either.
crazy guys.
Just a thought.
Shout out to we're gonna take a break now. Shout out to referee 583. I like the rhyme for saying two best podcasts in MLB, us and a different one. It doesn't matter.
You can read.
Wow.
Foul territory.
Foul territory.
I've heard of that one.
Got a nice little picture of a little puppy there, too.
Yeah, nice little
Very
doggy
cute.
there. And then also the shirtless wonder commented.
Kevin.
He's in the chat.
Kevin's commented and said, "I feel like Sean's overcompensating with a shirt and a jacket. Herb and I were twins today, wearing the CHGO shirt, and yes, Braggs caught him wearing the Sox and shirt CHGO shirt, which I didn't know. They didn't rat on him. So I mean, he could have gone unbeknownst.
Include the hashtag, though.
Oh, hashtag Malort on site.
Malort on site.
Andrew Benintendi. I feel like is that just not going to?
Here you go. Bring it on. Sean wants it.
All right. Speaking of drinking, Goose Island. Hey, I know our guy Kevin Kaduk's going to their block party this weekend, so I know Goose Island's got a lot of events that you could check out. They are the official beer of CHGO. That you can always find them at our tailgates. Our next one's on October 1st when the Bears take on the Broncos. CHGO is supported by Goose Island Beer Company. They've been Chicago's beer since 1988. Herb is drinking
Goose Island hazy beer hug. Delicious.
That's it.
6.8.
6.8. They got the Beer Hug family. They got the tropical one that's around like 9.9. Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
That
one's also known as the Herb Walks Home.
Yes.
That's called the Blue Line Special.
Yeah, that's why I don't drink them today.
They also have the 312 Wheat Ale, the Full Pocket Pills, and, of course, Oktoberfest. Grab an ultra-fresh brewer exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. I believe that Clybourne Avenue location is where that block party is taking place, right?
Let's see.
It's not over on the Fulton one?
It's on Fulton, yeah.
Oh, it's the Fulton.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good lineup.
1800
Good
West
lineup, guys.
Fulton.
Check that out.
Neil Francis,
Yeah.
the Lemon Twigs, Jalen Nunga, Houndmouth, Heartless Bastards.
Good stuff.
Bridget Calls Me Baby, and Cabeza de Chavo.
Does she really?
Apparently.
You upset.
Saw Neil Francis at Thalia Hall earlier this year, where he recorded the live album, which is coming out later this year. You should go check him out at the block party if you can.
All right. Shout out Neil Francis. Shout out Houndmouth. And I know Houndmouth.
They're good. Heartless Bastards are great, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Herb's got a side chick, apparently. With
Bridget Calls Me Baby.
Bridget calling him baby. So shout out to Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. Also want to let you know about our friends over at Shady Rays. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered to take on that darn sun. With premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures, and that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com PostgameShades.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, go to ShadyRays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. No matter what I do, I cannot break mine. So they are truly the best built sunglasses I've ever worn, stylish sunglasses I've ever worn. I highly, 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 highly recommend Shady Rays, whatever that's worth. Finally, game time. Maybe, I don't know if the block party tickets are on Game Time per se, but if you're trying to go to the Salt Shed to see a band, if you're trying to go to the United Center to see a band, maybe you're out of town. I'm going to Las Vegas to the Sphere to see you too. You could go to Game Time to go check that out with the White Sox ending.
You're always going to
That's
Vegas.
in October?
I know. I don't.
You're Mr. Vegas all of a sudden.
I didn't know.
Mr. Papa Giorgio.
The one from August wasn't.
John didn't get that reference.
I was wondering if you got that reference. Huh?
No, who's that?
Oh,
Vegas
my
Vacation.
God. Oh, God. Ethan Embry's finest work. Ethan Embry? Yeah.
Who?
Vegas Vacation, one of the sequels to Vacation.
Chevy Chase,
Yeah.
Beverly D'Angelo.
I've only seen Christmas.
Okay.
I know people love Christmas. I also love Christmas. The first one's the best one.
And that's Wally's World.
Yes.
Okay.
Anthony Michael Hall as the son.
Yeah, you know they
They changed. Yeah, they changed the son and daughter every year.
John Hughes did that one, right?
No,
I thought
isn't
the
it
whole
John
thing-
Landis who did Blues Brothers?
I thought John Hughes. He started working with some magazine. I want to say Mad.
National Lampoon.
Could be National Lampoon.
They're
That makes
who
sense.
made Vacation.
Because again, they made that movie. I think he was working with National Lampoon, and then I think he made the movie. But then,
I mean, that would make
'cause that's why the Michael C. Anthony Hall. Thing.
You are correct.
Boom.
Look at you knowing your things.
Never seen the damn movie,
Yep.
but I know.
You're correct.
All right, cool.
John Hughes.
All right.
Wrote it. Directed by Harold Ramis of Ghostbusters fame.
Both Chicago area people.
Shout out.
Both rest in peace.
I'm going to try to weave into a Game Time.
Game Time.
You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets to all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Their lowest price guarantee, event cancellation program protection, and job loss protection make sure that you will always have a positive experience. And their Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
It's a great band to see in concert, Sean. I've seen them twice. You too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them 5 times, I think.
Awesome.
It'll be my 6th.
It's even better than the real thing.
It is even better than the real thing. Let's head to the news of the day. This started breaking around, the 6th inning? Reports started trickling out, and it was just one name, and then another name, and then another name. Scott Merkin broke the first news, and then Chuck Garfien confirmed the report, and that is of, now I'm blanking on his name.
Josh
Barfield, who will be an assistant general manager with the White Sox. He comes from the Diamondbacks organization. And not only that, Bob Nightingale reported that Brian Bannister from the Giants will be joining the White Sox as director of pitching.
Something like that. Yeah. It was not specified, but he is the director of pitching with the Giants. The idea is he would reportedly be coming to the White Sox to do something similar.
Senior director of pitching. And then finally, Gene Watson from the Royals. He is of the scouting department from the Royals. He was a vice president of Major League Scouting / assistant GM. And I don't know who reported that.
Bob Nightingale.
Bob Nightingale reported those last two. So shout out to Bob Nightingale for his reports. What do you guys make of the news?
Well, I'll say this right off the bat. We got a text from our guy Jesse Friedman over at PHNX saying glowing things about Josh Barfield. So there's a recommendation for you, White Sox fans. But obviously the D-backs farm system, very well regarded in recent years, producing so many outfielders they don't know what to do with here at times. So there's that. We do not know, I think, quite yet if he will be stepping into that exact role with the White Sox, but obviously they need a farm director, as their old farm director, Chris Getz, is now the general manager of the team. The other two guys, as people will jump all over, I'm sure, there are some Royals connections there. Obviously, Gene Watson coming directly from the Kansas City Royals, but Brian Bannister, a former Royals pitcher, you might remember, throwing against the White Sox in the AL Central. Him and Chris Getz were Royals teammates in 2010.
And White Sox Tom, yes, Floyd Bannister's son, Brian Bannister, will be coming over.
Former White Sox pitcher himself.
1,000 innings for Floyd Bannister, 4.05 ERA.
And Josh Barfield is the son of Jesse Barfield, if you guys remember that guy.
I don't know Jesse Barfield.
Former Blue Jay, I believe. He played for other teams.
He was good.
Had a nice Jerry Crow working for him, too.
I read that Josh was around, like, Ricky Henderson. Like, I think
He was around him?
Well, like apparently I was reading. I was
When he was growing up?
Yeah, right. I was reading up that he was always just saying baseball, baseball, baseball when he was around his dad, and his dad would bring him to like batting practice and stuff. And I guess Ricky Henderson, Major League Baseball player, would make sense that he was at Major League batting practice.
Yes.
So I guess he met Ricky Henderson, which is cool. I've never met Ricky Henderson.
And Josh Barfield, born in Venezuela.
Yeah, what his dad was playing Venezuelan winter ball.
How about that?
So, and apparently his dad said that was the easiest one, was the kid that was born in Venezuela. So there you go. But yeah, 3 new people joining the White Sox organization.
Office.
Yeah,
front office, yeah.
The one that I think is most interesting is Brian Bannister, just because it seems like it is the most that we can make sense of the analytical side, and we know with driveline and the idea of increasing velocity and spin, and trying to be the most effective and efficient you could possibly be with your mechanics. Brian Bannister is more of that push towards that, and I don't know if you mentioned it, the Brian Bannister and Ethan Katz crossover in
like 1 year in
San
2020,
Francisco.
yeah.
So there was a little bit of a crossover there. But Brian Bannister started this thing, Art of Baseball, which is basically, his own kind of,
Is that anything like Art of Pizza?
I
Because
wish
if
it
it is, then it's fantastic.
I don't think he's
Give me a slice or two of this Art of Baseball.
any cheesy goodness. But he's sharing advanced baseball content to develop amateur players. And one thing that just makes me excited, things that he's focusing on are lefties, cut fastballs, 2 things that I don't think we've seen a ton from actual White Sox pitchers. You've always brought up like
For Lance
wanting
Lynn.
to see
Yeah,
more
Lance Lynn
lefties.
threw a lot of cutters.
That was it.
Right. I think Brian Shaw has a cutter.
But neither of those guys came up through the White Sox system.
Right. And then so lefties, you haven't seen a ton of lefties, and we obviously have, brought that up. Spin monsters, which works for like Tanner McDougal, right? The guys that and Dylan Cease, guys that have those extreme, 27,000 RPM plus, and then approach angles and seam effects, which just makes me excited because again, like I don't think we've heard a ton about shift wakes and like how the ball actually is affected by the wind and how it's affected by like throwing. Like we're very much used to Don Cooper and his birds chirping in the background. He had birds, or was that just less?
No,
dogs,
he
right?
had a bunch of dogs. He sounded like he lived in a zoo,
Right.
When he was doing a score interview.
So it just seems like a pushing towards the most modern we can possibly be. And I was always for just getting as many people as in here as possible. It seems like they're hiring more people. They're hiring people from different organizations. We did have the quote from, I forget the guy's name who went to prison. Sorry to just make that about his name. But
Dave Wilder.
Dave Wilder.
I was like, which guy?
He said that, it was never about, what'd you learn in Atlanta, right? So that is my one concern, but hopefully Chris Getz, with his new regime, can change that. And if he's bringing these people in to get their voice, hopefully they are truly being heard, because, again, that's all I want the White Sox to be, is as modern as possible. And it seems like at least Brian Bannister is going to try to do that from the pitching side. I've always loved the Giants and what they've done. I wanted them to hire hitting guys. They ended up going to the Braves to do that. So at least them picking from the Giants pitching tree gets me a thumbs up.
Yeah, and Josh L. from our Discord, and if you want to join, allchgo.com, join our Discord and become a diehard. Maybe Getz knows he's over his skis and needs help. That's if he realizes like this is a lot for him to jump from the farm director to GM, which it is, and he wants smart people around him, I'm all for it, especially people maybe he knows or people he knows. And like you said, Vinny, like Brian Bannister and Ethan Katz have crossed over. Of course, you have the guy from Gene from the Kansas City Royals. So, of course, Pedro knows that guy. And then Josh Barfield coming in here with the top 10 minor league systems all his years of being the farm director, at least the last 4 years. So it's really nice to have Chris Getz realize, like, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room, and maybe a collaborative effort would be best for the team. And also to have a former major league pitcher in Brian Bannister understand analytics and probably translate it to people who might not in the lower leagues or maybe in the major leagues, like that analytics is for those nerds. And then he could say, hey, he could talk pitcher to those guys and actually say, hey, I pitched in the major leagues for 6-7 years, guy. I got it. And this was going to help you do this, that, and the other.
And here's the thing, too. I think this has been kind of swept away or just not focused on much because of the fan reaction to it being Chris Getz who got the job. Chris Getz is now one of a very small number of former Major League Baseball players in charge of a Major League Baseball operations department. Yep. And it was brought up a lot by him in his opening press conference. I'm not sure. Again, folks were focusing on that. This is something that Chris believes is a strength of his, and we've heard it from some of his from some of the current White Sox players who came up through the system, saying about how easy it was to relate to him, or how he was approaching their conversations differently because he's a former player. It doesn't strike as weird, but it is weird to have these former players in this level of position of power. For most of the guys that are running these shows are guys who have come up as front office people their whole career. This is what their career is, and we're talking about a former player in Josh Barfield, a former player in Brian Bannister. Maybe this is Chris Getz saying, this is a thing that I realize is an advantage for me. Let's make it an advantage for our front office in general with the White Sox. You mentioned the comment there that we got on the Discord saying maybe Chris Getz realizes he's in over his head or something like that. You don't have to be in over your head to want to surround yourself with smart people. And it could be a very good move that he's going out and hiring people from other organizations with different ideas, with modern ideas, who also have that player background. This might again, I know what the prevailing narrative is, and everybody is mad that Chris Getz has this job, but he's got the job, and he's going to try to do it to the best of his ability. These hires are him trying to do it to the best of his ability.
All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of what's it called? Liberty here, and I'm going to include one guy. So there are 5 general managers / top executives of baseball organizations currently. Chris Getz is one of them.
Who are former baseball players.
Who are former Major League Baseball players, because there's a lot of college and minors guys. So can you name them?
Chris Young.
I
got one. Yeah. I'm out.
Texas Rangers.
Are you including this is the top guy at all 30 teams, or this is the top, or this is just people who have the title of?
This is a Wikipedia general manager.
Okay, Sam Fuld.
Sam Fuld of the Phillies.
Even though he's not the number one guy in that department.
Right. Dombrowski would be, but yeah, they would count Fuld because he's the general manager.
Correct.
No, Dave Ross is the manager.
I told you one, so if you remember.
You told me one. Mm-hmm. Oh, because I didn't know that person had played.
He struck out as manager.
Jerry DiPoto.
Yes. Struck out Scott Service.
Wow.
And then the final one is Brandon Gomes of the Dodgers. I guess Friedman.
He's the person under Friedman? Okay.
Yeah, and Brandon Gomes is a former pitcher. So those are the 5 that are.
That's not a lot.
No, that's only 5.
And if you're looking for success, I mean, we got the Dodgers, the Seattle Mariners, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Texas Rangers, all doing well.
Ooh, maybe pump the brakes on the Texas Rangers, but yeah.
I mean, they're all competing.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. And it's
the White Sox would all trade positions with those people.
I wouldn't. I would trade Sam Fuld for Chris Getz.
I would trade Sam Fuld for any player on the White Sox except for Luis Robert.
But that's Sam Folds' position.
Yeah, so would Jerry Reinsdorf. He's Jerry Reinsdorf's type of player, just out and gritty and hustling and shit, stealing.
He made a when he played for the Tampa Bay Rays. When he played for the Tampa Bay Rays, he made a very notable highlight reel diving catch, and the Tampa Bay Rays gave away as a promotional item one year a Super Sam Fold cape.
Ooh, very nice. We got to find one of those.
How about that?
I don't know why. We got to find one for the Philly people.
Yeah, well, maybe PHLY has one. Yeah.
All right, but just to finalize the conversation. Again, if Chris Getz doesn't want to, if Chris Getz wants to admit that he's not the smartest person in the room, by all means, that's fine. That's great for the organization.
That's great for any type of organization.
Usually, any job you don't,
you're not going to get anywhere.
That's a positive thing all the time.
Right. Yeah, I don't actually want Chris Getz to be Mr. Baseball. That'd be horrible. Like Theo Epstein.
That's Tom Selleck.
It's Tom Selleck. And Steven.
And Steven. Everyone wants to hire Theo Epstein, but like the Cubs and what he has built out is a pitching lab and like a hitting lab and like trying to understand each and every single part and hiring like 90 people to be a part of the baseball operations. It is good to have as many voices and as many people as possible because you are a major league operation and you should be acting like one.
Full circle, Herb. Throw it at the wall, see what sticks. And that's why Jose Ureña is going to be a White Sox. You heard it from Sean Anderson.
Boom. That sounds right.
Hey, we didn't get to Jose Ureña's stuff, which means I didn't get to plug to Vinnie's article. So real quick, let's get to Jose Ureña's stuff. I'm kidding.
Well, there it is. But you can take it down.
His sinker has been really sinking, and his fastball has got a decent amount of zip. I just would be concerned that if he threw 50 innings in a season, probably wouldn't have that same zip, probably wouldn't have that same dive on a sinker, or his changeup probably wouldn't be as effective. I don't think Jose Ureña is going to be in the rotation next year.
I don't either. But also,
go ahead.
No, I was going to talk about something totally unrelated before you went to Jose Ureña. I was going to talk about the hiring of people. You were saying if you're going to hire a bunch of people and not be the smartest people in the room and be like the Cubs, I hope Jerry is thinking like his old partner, Jerry Krause, where he's like, organizations win championships, not necessarily the players, and just hire a bunch of fucking people. Like, this is 3 hires that I wasn't expecting today or not even really in the offseason. I knew he was going to hire people, but this seemed like shrewd moves in the absence of actually knowing what they're going to do. They look like good moves. And so if this is the start of a hiring out of different people who are going to make this team better just by, having more analytics, having more information, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm all for it too. Hopefully it turns out. I mean, hey, 2024 could still be bad. We can hire all these people and it could still stink.
Very true.
But if the process is good, I would still be fine with it.
I agree. The process of putting Brian Shaw in every day is
interesting.
It means they're saving Gregory Santos. If you want to read more about that, check out ALLCITY.com. We haven't seen a ton of Groot this year, and it makes sense because he hasn't pitched a ton in his career. He's pretty young. I think this is the most amount of innings that he's thrown this year, and we also see his stuff being affected. I think really since that Morel homer, we've seen the velocity go down and maybe a lack of faith or trust in his stuff like he had when he first came out of the White Sox bullpen. What did you try to touch upon today?
Well, I think the mindset and the mentality part are fine when it comes to Santos. That's the thing that people keep commending him for, be it Pedro Grifol, be it Liam Hendricks, who I talked to about Santos at Wrigley Field. I think the main thing is it really seems like the workload's probably catching up to him a little bit. And Pedro said over the weekend that they're going to try not to use him so much here down the stretch. Again, there's only 10 games left at this point, but, a lot of innings under his belt, most of them very good, but here the last month or so, not so much. And, it raises some real questions about who's going to be the closer for this team next year and really what that bullpen in general is going to look like. Because you got Santos coming back, you got Bummer coming back, but he's been really bad this year, and you've got Garrett Crochet, who's probably going to be activated here within the next few days, it looks like, for a couple of relief outings before the season wraps up. Those 3 guys looking like your bullpen, but again, we got questions about Crochet too, don't we? And, he's only thrown 10 innings this year. He wants to be a starter. We don't know how that's going to go because the White Sox need starting pitching really badly. there's a lot of questions with this bullpen. I just named 3 guys that are coming back next year. You're going to need a lot more than that in order to field a competitive team. Who knows who's in the minor leagues that will step up? Someone's going to be good next year, but you have no idea who it is. You want to go into the season with reliability. If you remember, it was closer by committee coming out of spring training with Liam coming back from cancer. And it wasn't a terrible plan because Joe Kelly had done it before. Kendall Graveman had done it before. Reynaldo Lopez was promising, right? Even Jimmy Lambert, who has been in the minors most of this season, was really good last year. And so coming into this year, you were confident in what the White Sox had, that it could be a group that could come together. Right now, they don't have that group. If they're going to go closer by committee or something like it, back end by committee, if you will, I don't understand how anybody could have the same level of confidence going into next year as they had coming into this year, even though that didn't work out that great either.
Really like the Yasmani quote in there, and you got to read it to find out what he said.
Nice
what
tease.
a tease.
There you go. That's Herb Lawrence, the consummate professional. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. Is that the right word?
No. Galapagos Island. See you later.
The hell's the right word?
Herb's going.
Yeah, you said it right, but I'm not the consummate professional. But yes,
Herb's going way out west to the Galapagos Islands.
South.
Enjoy your trip, Herb. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Vinnie Duber writes articles because he is check this out. Our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our. I'm just repeating myself. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for producing the show. We'll talk to you tomorrow.